With the rise of the Delta variant and subsequent increase of positive COVID-19 cases, a number of students who have been deemed to have close contact with a subject who tested positive have been sent home from school on mandatory quarantines from the Graham County Department of Health and Human Services. At its Tuesday night meeting, the Pima School Board debated the county's quarantine protocol, and Pima Superintendent Sean Rickert said he believed that they could isolate the students who have been quarantined and bring them back to school safely.
2 weeks, 10 days, I don't know if he'll recover. And that's GPAs we're messing with, that's their future we're messing with. That's stuff that we can't recover from with these kids. He needs to be at school. These healthy kids need to be at school. They are not spreading it kid to kid. So I'm saying these are options. I talked to the health department. These are options for our school.
COVID's a dangerous deal. It's dangerous for a lot of people. Last year we had no vaccine. We had no understanding of this disease or this virus. This year we got a better understanding of it. I'm confused. How do we quarantine kids? We send them home. The quarantined individuals have a brother and sister that come back to school the next day. The parents aren't quarantined, the grandparents aren't quarantined, and we got these individuals, these kids that need an education. This is not about football, this is not about anything but education. This is not sports, this is our kids need educated. We have kids that are so far behind from last year quarantine that the board, I feel, and I've kind of looked into this, the board has the power to do some things to where we can make sense of this procedure. Right now, nobody has a clue of why it's happening.
So this contact tracing is non-existent, in my opinion. Non-existent. And my daughter she doesn't have college classes, but she is missing out. She needs to be in school, period, in my opinion. Needs to be in school, and I really appreciate both of these. I echo both of what Colvin Public said. I totally agree, because we cannot trust them.
My brother passed away less than 2 months ago from COVID, and his wife was sick, his son was sick, they're very sick. They survived. He didn't, and they had the different strain than what's going on around here. But because of the quick action of the county health department in isolating, doing the contact tracing, finding out who had contact, and trying to figure out where this all started, because of their quick action and quarantining the people who did have the contact, that strain of the virus doesn't exist here anymore. Which is, I'm so grateful, because it's a horrible one. Very horrible. So I appreciate the hard work that they did to stop that from spreading. The one that we have now is highly contagious, not as deadly, but still highly contagious. And the main concern is, yes, these kids are exposed. Are they likely to get sick? Not so much, but they're likely to we've got to, I don't know how to say this. We've got to quarantine them to stop the spread. And I understand the frustration and the difficulties it is to have them home. When this all started, I had not only my 2 kids, but my sister's 3 kids at home. You know, trying to do the homeschooling with them was difficult. Doing the anytime that they were quarantined, I know it's difficult, and these parents have to work, and I get that. But we need to be mindful of not just the kids, but the parents that they're going to be exposing to. We have students throughout this valley that have parents in the hospital in the ICU because their kid was exposed to COVID and they gave it on over to their parent. I mean, I don't want anyone else to have to go through what I have, and the sorrow and the pain it causes by losing a loved one.
I'm willing to listen to what the health department has to say, but the problem is I'm a numbers person, and they manipulate the numbers so much, and it's hard to swallow. It really is. We all have friends in the medical field. We all have friends that have been affected, whether it be the shot or not. I had a friend just the other day take the shot, 72 hours later, he's gone. Guess he didn't die of COVID, I guess, I don't know. We gotta live with this stuff. And it sounds cold-hearted. I would not want to be in this lady's shoes right here, but there's other diseases out there that we're all having to deal with. But because of this COVID, none of them are being recognized. The kids need an education. Somehow, someway, we got to come to an agreement. Whether do they get to come to school with a mask on if they're quarantined? If they're sick, they stay home. I know our hands are tied, but us as a district, we got to be able to do something. It's our school.
I personally was in the hospital for 7 days with COVID. And yeah, you say that's just a fat guy because he didn't eat right, but I was exercising every day and doing things, but to see the nurses and the people that came in to help me, you know, they all wanted to, but close to 50% of them were scared. They had families, they had kids. I could see the fear of God in their eyes. They didn't want to be in there with me, which they had nothing personally against me, but they were scared. And I could see that and I could feel that. But some older ladies that didn't have kids at home and that kind of thing, they just would get right up in my face. But I appreciated all of the people that cared for me at the hospital. Everybody did a great job, but I'm just saying the fear was real, and it is real, and it's a real thing. And there was one night that the fear of God was in me, but it passed, and I pulled through, and I'm doing better, and I'm trying to do better. And basically everybody on our farm area, all the family pretty much got COVID, pretty much everybody. And it's just the way it was, and the way it happened. Nobody else really got sick. A few people had a little fever. I was the only one that really had the sick, that really got sick. So with that being said, I'm also an educator, and I love having kids in school. 96% of our parents wanted their kids in school, and we provided that option. There was a few that didn't want their kids in school, and we worked with them to try to help them, their kids to get an education. The ones that came, you know, we did we communicated, we did our cleaning, we had our masks, we did our physical distance, we did our temperature checks, which I'm not doing this year, if anybody wants to know. We did our sneeze guards. I know we're in a different situation where I'm at, but I'm just saying, those parents wanted their kids there, we wanted them there. There was an empty feeling when they weren't there, and it's just a real good feeling when they are there. And I know it's the same here, and I'm proud of our Pima employees and principals and everybody, even Mr. Rickert, I'm proud of him.
I sent a request to the district's attorney for information about, for legal advice and the legal parameters surrounding our ability to follow isolation and quarantine orders from our county health department. And I sent that to him. Let's see, the kindergarten class was quarantined on day 2, which was last Thursday, that afternoon, because parents started asking the same exact questions that Mrs. Wilkins and Mr. Curley have asked at this meeting. Why are we doing this, and where does the authority come from? And so I received a response to that email 3 hours ago. The information that the attorney has provided has really kind of opened the door as far as the options that the district could consider. One, basically, and I'll just read this paragraph to you. So many districts have been faced with parents who refuse to require that their student remain home in quarantine. And I just want to say thank you to the parents in Pima, because that hasn't been our problem. But let's say they did, okay? Let's say they did. Option number 1, the school can refuse to admit the student. And that's what we've told parents we would do, because we've been told that was our only option. Option number 2, admit the student and return him or her to their regular schedule. Or option 3, admit the student and isolate with supervision. I would think that we can preserve the best interests of our students without having to only take option one. And I think that, for example, in a situation like a kindergarten class where we have a vaccinated teacher, we put a vaccinated aide in there, we silo those kids so that they aren't in the cafeteria at the same time as other kids. We can go through and mist and disinfect the surfaces after they eat so that nobody has to worry about, if one of those kids is developing, the disease, the dreaded sickness, that they're going to transmit that. And basically, provide, and then those kids can come to school, because just like you guys, I want them in school, okay? And with high school kids, I understand the concern about how high school kids do or don't wear masks, and I think that's a valid point. I walked into high school classrooms last year and found that there were a lot of kids that were doing the chin thing with the mask or the earring thing with the mask. I think we all did at some point during that time, although some of us just plain never wore a mask, and that was. But I would suggest that if a kid's told, hey, you know what, if you want to be able to attend that college, algebra class, and it's only for the next 14 days that you're going to wear a mask, and you're going to wear that dang thing over your nose and your mouth, and you're going to do it in the way that you're supposed to, because that's what has to happen in order for you to be here. And if you're not doing it the way you're supposed to, we'll send you home. Then we can isolate those students with the masks, keep everybody else safe, again, and be able to have those kids in classrooms with teachers learning what they need to learn. And so based on the information that we received from the county health department about the fact that yes, students who properly wear masks are not a health risk to those students that they're in close contact with, and the information that we've received from our attorney today that says that we do have the authority and the option to admit a student and isolate them with supervision, I believe that we can bring students that we had previously thought we had to exclude from school back to school. And I will work with the principals over this weekend, tomorrow, and we will get with teachers and put a plan in place to implement those types of actions.
Reporting from Pima for the Gila Herald, I'm John Johnson.